In case you're curious what that thing is, this is a disc golf course here in Ukiah, Northern California, and I've played this game quite a lot. I learned to play at this same course here. That is the basket that you shoot for with your disc. It is a frisbee of sorts, but a little bit different shape, but it is the same rules as golf. So you shoot off of one of these. So there's another basket up over the hill over there, and then you try to get it in the basket in as few throws as possible. All right, so in this video that I'm going to answer the questions that people asked in my Q&A other video in which I invited people to ask questions. So if you haven't seen that video, well, you don't really need to see the video, but if you're curious to see the questions that were asked and some of the answers that I gave, mostly I skipped over answering the questions there because I'm going to answer them here, but I posted video responses to a lot of the comments there, so you could check out some of those if you want to see some more lengthy video responses to some of these questions here. And so I'm going to make this one a walk and talk video, just for something a little different. Hike up this nice path here in Low Gap Park here in Ukiah. I've got a long list of the questions here. I could not answer all of them, so basically I sort of chose the ones that were a little bit shorter to answer, as opposed to some of the ones that were more in depth and would have taken up a lot more time. So here we go. Fraukspriet, however you say that, asked, how do you edit and post your videos if you're always on the road? So he was wondering if I shoot a bunch of footage and then get back home and then get on the computer and start editing away. And that isn't how I edit my videos. Some travelers do that, but I edit as I'm going along. Say I'm in Lisbon, Portugal. Then I walk around the city there, shoot the video, and then get back to my hostel, oftentimes that same evening or maybe a day or two later or whatever, edit the video, get on the free Wi-Fi that is offered at basically all hostels and hotels these days, upload the video, and boom, it is up within a day or so, and then I'm on to the next one. So my videos are generally pretty current, other than, you know, perhaps like a compilation video or, you know, a video about my whole 6-month trip that I might do after I get back or something like that. Wi-Fi is, you know, all around the world these days, with varying speeds certainly, and so that can be an issue, but most places it's pretty good. All right, Ryle Jader asks, any advice for females looking to hitchhike? That's a good question, and there's no, you know, nice and easy, straightforward answer on it, other than to say that, you know, there are risks involved. It is a slightly riskier way of traveling, but I've been hitchhiking for decades. My first big hitchhiking adventure was when I went to Europe in the summer of 1990 when I was 18 years old, and I hitchhiked the entire length of the United Kingdom and then over to Ireland, and then I spent much of the 1990s hitchhiking around the United States, and I never had a bad experience in all this time. Definitely had some weirdos and some rides that I wouldn't want, but overall, you know, hitchhiking is mostly going to be plenty safe. When it comes to women hitchhiking, then I would say definitely there is a little bit more of a risk factor there, but there is a benefit, which is that you're going to have a lot easier time actually getting a ride. Both men are going to be more likely to pick you up, and women are certainly going to be more likely to pick you up. It's an option, but what I would say is do it in safe places. If it's a country, an area that you feel is generally pretty safe, then go for it. If you have any reservations, then I wouldn't recommend it. Matt Serber asks, do you have a good monkey story? Yes, I have had quite a few encounters with monkeys in India, basically, and in Indonesia at the monkey forest near Ubud in Bali. But one cool one is I was hiking up to a temple, and I had some bananas in my hand, and there were very steep steps, and a group of Indian men come down the steps going the other direction, walking down from the temple, and they point at the bananas and say, you got to watch out because the monkeys around here will steal them. And I forget how exactly it happened next, whether I put the bananas away or else I think it was that I stopped to take a break and eat some snacks, including the bananas, and as I was sitting there, then a monkey came up from behind me and stole my bananas. Speaking of bananas, here's a banana. That is a banana slug. Jordan Howie asks, how do you decide where to go next? That's a good question and definitely a multi answer to that. A variety of factors. Certainly one of the most important is, what can I afford? Next is, where can I go that I can get videos that are going to do well? Thirdly is, where do I want to actually go? Fourthly is, where can I find cheap flights? Fifthly is, what places have I heard about recently and been inspired to want to go because somebody was raving about it. And so I just kind of consider all those together. Certainly finding a cheap flight is oftentimes the deciding factor, as it was for me with this upcoming trip, in which I am leaving tomorrow, heading down to San Francisco and spending the night there, and then catching my flight the next morning. And so I just kind of consider all those different options. Sometimes it's just a matter of, all right, time to make a commitment. I need to do something here. I don't want to just sit around here wherever I am for much longer, so let's go for it. Ernesto 5, are you making any more music videos? Good question. So many of you will not know, especially if you are a subscriber within like the last 2 years, I think. Maybe 3 years since I made my last music video. So when I went to India in the winter of 2012 and 2013, then I was pretty new with the YouTube thing. I'd had it for a couple of years, but still only had maybe 100, couple hundred subscribers, something like that. I wasn't too serious about it yet. But when I went on that trip, then I was making a couple of dollars a day for my channel, and so I was kind of getting inspired to try to make more money and grow my channel. And so I came up with the idea of making music videos, and so that means picking a song that I like and then going out in a cool location and walking around and recording myself singing the lyrics to the song and taking footage of stuff around me and everything, and then in the editing then muting all of the clips so that you don't hear me singing, and then put the original song over it like a pop song, and then edit it to go along with the song. So I did a bunch of those, like 20-ish or so, a bunch of them in India, and then some more in Canada when I was working there. I did at least one in Thailand. But the reason that I haven't, or the reasons that I haven't made that more of a regular thing is threefold. For one thing, then it's a lot of work to edit those videos. It's fun, I like doing it, and I like the finished product, but none of those videos got many views, more than 1,000 or 2,000 or so. And I can't make money from them, because if you use somebody else's content in your videos, such as music, you won't get your channel demoted or any kind of a violation against it. Most songs, it's fine to use them, however, you won't make the ad money from them. The creator of the content will. And so there just wasn't really much benefit in putting all that time and effort into doing them when they weren't bringing in hardly any subscribers and no income. It was just, a one-shot thing of a few people would see it, and then that was it. Not to say that I won't maybe make some in the future. It'd be cool. They're fun to do and stuff. We'll see about that. But if you're curious to see some of those music videos, I'm not going to say they're like the best thing in the world, but they're in some really great places, and I had fun with them. So look down below this video for a link to the playlist with all those videos. I'll link to the one that I did at the Taj Mahal in India, to the song Rock the Casbah by The Clash. There's some great music in there, and you'll get a taste for what I like musically. Out there is the city of Ukiah. This video is being filmed with my ICONNTECHS action camera. If you like the looks of it, check the link down below there to check it out on Amazon. They're very cheap and pretty darn cool. I'm still getting acquainted with it, and I am planning to do a full review of the camera sometime soon. I just haven't had the chance yet. Henry Martinez asks, have you ever stayed in hostels or hotels infested with bed bugs, roaches, rodents, etc.? Now, fortunately, I have never experienced bed bugs, which is pretty amazing considering all of the hostels that I have stayed in, so that's a lucky thing. As far as roaches and rodents, oh yeah, definitely. I've had, encounters with cockroaches in lots of different places. Hawaii, India, Thailand, Indonesia. Cockroaches are fairly, prevalent in any sort of tropical places. Fortunately, they are completely harmless. I'd rather have an encounter with a cockroach than bed bugs, that's for sure. Yeah, they're gross and everything, and I don't like to see them, and I'll try to get them out of the room, and if I got it, then I'll squish them. As for rodents, certainly mice and rats. Not, all that commonly or anything, but I've had rooms where, there was a little like hole in the wall or whatever, and there was a rat coming in. I actually stayed in one in New York City with my mom, a hostel that we stayed at. My mom organized the whole trip to get me back to the East Coast to see it because I'd never been to New York or Washington, D.C., and so that was my one and only time going back east. And we stayed in this hostel that was pretty cheap. It was like $30 each per night, but then we had a private room with two like twin beds. And she had made a comment about, man, I really hope that I don't see any mice around here. And I saw a mouse there like the 5th or 6th day. We stayed at that place for like 10 days and just totally explored New York City, and then went down to Washington, D.C. for a day. I saw that mouse that one time, and I did not mention it to her because she didn't see it. I told her afterwards, and she was like, oh man, I'm glad you didn't say anything. So if you're traveling, especially budget traveling, you can expect to encounter some bugs and rodents at some point. Elpool FC asks, will you ever go to Eastern Europe and the Balkans? Absolutely, that is way up at the top of my list. I would love to go see Albania, Macedonia, Montenegro, Slovenia, Bosnia. That whole area looks really fascinating, a lot to explore. I think it would be really interesting. We'll see if maybe I make it over there on this trip. I'm just not really sure exactly where I'm going to end up going, but yeah, I'd love to get there. Azazi, in hostels, what is the average size locker to keep your backpack? They vary considerably, from smaller size security lockers that might be just like 1 foot by 1 foot to big lockers that you can stuff a huge backpack in. Almost all hostels have lockers these days, but I did stay in one fairly recently. I'm trying to remember where that was, that they did not have lockers at all, and it was pretty annoying to not have somewhere to at least be able to put your passport and your extra cash and credit cards and cell phone and stuff like that, especially at night, so that you can sleep a little more peacefully. So that was a bit of a surprise, because most places do have lockers. As long as you have somewhere that you can lock away your most valuable stuff, then what I do is I bring a bicycle lock. I've mentioned this in other videos, and lock my big backpack to the bunk bed, and then just hope for the best. And people aren't gonna, grab a big backpack and try to run with it out of hostel, when who knows, you can't hide that. People are gonna try to steal small valuable stuff. So as long as you can securely lock away your small valuable stuff, then that's the most important thing. Dave Foster asks, your favorite country in Southeast Asia and why? I would have to go with Thailand for that. So the countries that I've been to so far in Southeast Asia are Philippines, Malaysia, Singapore, Indonesia, Thailand, Cambodia, Myanmar, and Laos. Now, I didn't get a great taste of Malaysia. I only spent a total of about a week there, 5 days in Kota Kinabalu on the island of Borneo, but I got a little sick there, and so that answers some people's questions. I'll just answer this one because several people asked about getting sick while traveling. Fortunately, I've never gotten like a really bad stomach virus or food poisoning or anything like that, but there have been lots of instances of getting sick, like colds, sore throats. On this last trip in Nepal, I mentioned it in one of the videos that I got a really bad sore throat out of the blue, like the worst that I've ever had. Oftentimes it is just a matter of, wearing myself down, not getting enough sleep. Sometimes there's drinking involved, or smoking cigarettes or something maybe, and a combination of different things. I don't smoke hardly at all, but every once in a while I'll be tempted to have a little tobacco. That is pretty much the extent of my smoking these days. But oftentimes it is just kind of accumulation of a few different things in which I just tax my body too much. And it could be, and then I got on this crazy bus ride, spend 16 hours on a bus when I'm feeling kind of crappy to begin with, and then when I get there I'm just totally wiped out, and then the next morning I wake up and I've got a cold or something. That was basically what happened this last time in Nepal. So yes, I have gotten sick. One other weird one was when I was in Thailand in 2007. Then I got this really weird sickness that was basically just extreme exhaustion to the point that I could barely get up and leave the bed for like 5 days straight. And that was on the island of Koh Kood, which is near those islands of Koh Chang and Koh Mak that I went to on this last trip. And I wanted to try to make it to Koh Kood again because I didn't get to experience it that much the last time because I was sick. It's a cool island that's kind of off the tourist trail. And other than the tiredness, then I had nothing else. No other symptoms. No sore throat or diarrhea or anything like that. It was just for 5 days. Then I was just like flat on my back in my bed. And all I could do was get up and go to the bathroom and go eat and read a book, and that was it. So I don't even know what happened with that one. But at least I haven't had any really bad illnesses in which I felt like I had to go to the hospital or whatever. But then getting back to Thailand, then Thailand is just kind of the overall best country that I have experienced in Southeast Asia. I've only experienced Myanmar for 2 days. I only experienced Laos for about a week, and Cambodia for a couple of weeks. Can't say that I saw an extensive amount of the country. They all definitely had, their positives. I mean, Laos was really cool. All 3 of the places that I went in Laos were really cool. Myanmar, I didn't see much, but I have heard from other travelers that they really liked it and that now is the time to go before it gets too touristy. There are places apparently with just absolutely incredible, spectacular beaches, for example, with almost nobody on them, no tourism. And then Indonesia I really liked. I went to Bali Island, Gili Air Island, which is just off of Bali, and then Lombok Island for a month. Just kind of got a taste of it, but I enjoyed it and have been wanting to go back and explore more and see more of it because there's a lot to see in Indonesia. But just for the overall experience of cool places to visit, cheap, but a fairly high standard of conditions of things, roads, getting around the country, the just friendliness of the people, safety, interesting, lots to do, lots of different islands to explore that are very different from each other. Just kind of for the overall experience. I know Thailand is very touristy these days, but still, just as far as the most enjoyable place to spend your time, then Thailand tops the list for me. Who knows if I do some more exploring of some of the other countries there at some point. Ariel G asks, would you suggest a woman traveling alone? Yes, I would. I have met and talked with and traveled with lots of women traveling alone who have had, great time, no problems. There certainly are, I would say, some added issues as opposed to traveling alone as a man, because many of the people that you are going to be dealing with are going to be men, owners of the hotels and restaurants and the workers on the trains and stuff like that. And there are the misconceptions of Western women and you know, fascination and stuff like that. You are going to get added attention as opposed to being a man traveling alone. But you know, traveling in India as a guy is still a kind of full-on experience of lots of attention put on you and people trying to talk with you and figure out how to get money from you by selling their goods, and beggars and all that stuff. So it's not like men don't experience that as well, depending on the country. I would say if you have any reservations about it, you might want to pick one of the places to travel to that doesn't have the added element of a cultural situation in which they're like less respectful and more obnoxious and more forward. India is one country that comes to mind in that regard, because it's just the case. Compare traveling with Thailand to traveling with India, and the people in Thailand are so much more reserved and don't mess with you all that much and respect your space more and are more hands-off, and let you just kind of go around your business. Whereas India is just different culturally. It has its advantages in that you get more interaction with the people than in Thailand, much more so. In India or Nepal, talking with people, there's much more English spoken. People are more outgoing and gregarious and interested in talking with and interacting with foreigners. So there's that side of it. But when it comes to being left alone, that can certainly be a challenge. And so you may want to keep that in mind when it comes to where you're going to pick to go on your travels. Andy Artukovic asks, what are your plans to take care of yourself when you're older? Good question. Basically, the plan is to keep focusing on this, what I'm doing, and growing it, and branching out more and bringing in more income. And I will say two words here that will make a point. Anthony Bourdain. He's like 60 and he is the top travel guy in the world. And so there's no reason that, you know, I can only keep doing this for another couple of years or something. I can be a traveling guy for another 15, 20 years or whatever. And that doesn't necessarily have to mean traveling nonstop. I would prefer to find somewhere to have a home base and travel less frequently from there. But I'm working towards building my channel here and my income and everything to get to the point where I have more income and can afford to stay somewhere and travel while paying for somewhere else back home, wherever that might be. But the idea is to branch out and get my books selling more, you know, make more of a name for myself, and keep the videos going that hopefully will be videos that continue to get views for years, which is the case with the videos that I'm making now, some of them anyways, because I don't necessarily have to be posting videos all the time to keep that income coming in, as I talked about in my video about YouTube travel tips. When you get lots of videos out there that are still getting views for years because they are relevant, then you're not dependent on posting a video every day to keep your income coming in. So the idea is just to keep growing that and you know, 20 years from now have a huge you know, base of different sources of income, both the videos and the writing and all of this stuff that I talked about in my video that I recorded in Greece, 5 ways to make money while you're traveling the world, and other things beyond that. James Plover asks, why haven't you trekked to Everest Base Camp? Good question. So I've been to Nepal 3 times so far and done 4 treks. The first time was to Annapurna Base Camp. The second time I did the Langtang trek, and then this last trip to Nepal, then I did the Annapurna Base Camp trek again and the Annapurna Circuit trek. The Everest Base Camp trek is the most popular trek, the most spectacular by the sounds of it, so why haven't I done that one in all of my times to Nepal? And there are sort of specific reasons for each time. The first time, then, I had emailed a friend who turned out was going to be going on the Annapurna Base Camp trek around the same time that I was already planning to go to Nepal, and so we agreed to rendezvous and do the trek together. And so that was great because that gave me the chance to do a trek in the Himalayas with somebody who had done one already before, and have someone with me so that I knew that it was doable. And so that gave me confidence to do the other ones after that without feeling like I needed a guide or a porter or anything. The second time, then I flew into Kathmandu in the middle of winter, like late January or early February, and you just plain can't do the higher treks in the winter, Everest Base Camp or the Annapurna Circuit Trek, because the elevations are too high. It would be way too cold. And so I did the Lengteng Trek, which is a lower elevation trek, and it had been assured to me that it is still possible to do that trek, and it was amazing. And glad that I did that one. It is also less touristy than Everest. And then this last time that I went back there, then I just wanted to do the Annapurna Circuit because I'd heard about it and it sounded so epic, and it really was. The other factor is that going to Everest Base Camp requires either paying for a flight to Lukla and back, or else making it a very long bus ride experience, plus a more extended trek, either both ways or one way, and then catching that flight back to Kathmandu. So it's kind of a bigger operation. Either you're going to pay for that flight, or else it's going to be a longer trek. And so I definitely plan to do Everest Base Camp the next time that I go back to Nepal. KC Boy 303 asks, any plans to upgrade your main camera? Yes, definitely. As I mentioned, that I'm currently using my ICONNTECHS action camera at the moment, and just going to try it out and see how it does, and plan to use it more, especially if it's performing well. This is not the best test of it because it's low lighting and not amazing scenery here or anything. Nice forest, but a bit gray and stuff. So once I get to my next destination, then I'm going to play around with it and see if it's going to kind of turn into being a replacement for my Olympus camera that I've been using forever, or else plan to replace that one sometime soon. I mean, I could splurge and blow the money on it right now and get the new camera, but for the time being, then I just kind of rather have the money in the bank until I've got a little more reserve there, because I want to get something good, and that is going to mean, $500 or $600. I do want to replace that soon so that I can stop using that thing, because I know it's just kind of barely good enough. But quite simply, money has been the factor. I've been spending my money on traveling instead of spending it on upgrading equipment and not traveling, because that was really the choice that I had to make was, okay, am I going to go on another trip, or am I going to blow all my money right now on upgrading equipment and then go find a job and work for a few months and then see about traveling after that? And I chose to make the trips happen. Marisol Jackson asks, given the current conditions with terrorism, is it safe to travel alone? Yes, absolutely. Terrorism should not be a issue in your consideration of are you or are you not going to travel. If there's a war somewhere, that is a completely different situation. I would not recommend traveling to Syria or Iraq or North Korea. Louis Cole recently went to North Korea on a guided tour. I'm sure that was perfectly safe. I mean, there isn't a war going on in North Korea, but that's somewhere I would be very trepidatious about traveling to, even if I could. But taking away the most extreme examples, terrorism is just not something to plan your life around or try to avoid one way or another. And this is just kind of my general philosophy on this, because it is very unpredictable. Obviously, it is not that frequent. They have been happening in greater occurrences around the world in recent years, certainly, but it is still tiny numbers of people who are affected directly by terrorism, as opposed to car crashes in your hometown or county or state and various other things that happen to people. Then terrorism is just a tiny threat, really, as far as numbers of people who are actually impacted by it. They are obviously big media spectacles, when there's a terrorist attack in Paris that paralyzes the entire city and gets people, you know, all worried about it and everything. But meanwhile, more people are dying from, you know, bee stings and furniture falling on them, and you know, cow attacks, or you know, just random stuff that we don't even, you know, bat an eyelash at worrying about because it's just so minuscule. So is the case with terrorism. So don't waste your time worrying about it. Quite simply, worry about, like, is the bus driver on this bus, you know, drinking or didn't get enough sleep, or should I worry about, you know, walking around the city alone at night, or, you know, should I consider hitchhiking in this area or not? The more practical, everyday sorts of stuff is the stuff to be more concerned about, because terrorism happens here in the United States. People could be saying, why go to the United States when there are all these terrorist attacks happening? Meanwhile, here I am, and it is not something that is, you know, keeping me from going on a hike or walking around town, because that just doesn't make any sense. And the last question here, TDC asks, I'm interested in how to get started getting paid by YouTube. So I addressed this in my recent video, tips and tricks for the banana slug. Tips and tricks for YouTube travel vloggers, in which I talked about how you don't need anything special to start up a YouTube channel and start getting views and ultimately start making money from it. Anybody can do it. It is simply a matter of creating your channel, posting your videos, and just keep doing it. And at the beginning, then you will have a stripped down version of YouTube in terms of what you can do. So you can upload your videos, and they get published out there, and then they can start getting views. But you won't be able to, for example, have custom thumbnail images, or at least that was the case when I first started my channel. I don't know if they might have changed things, but you won't be able to make money from your videos, and I forget what else exactly, but basically more options will come to you as you start to get more views and your channel gets more established. Then YouTube will start to give you the you know, the greater possibilities with your channel. So there's no special thing you need to do, except that when it comes to getting paid by YouTube, once you're actually making some money, then you have to create a AdSense account, which is the Google account that links to any of your Google things, your YouTube channel, maybe if you have a blog on Blogspot, anything Google related that you can make money from, you can link it all to one AdSense account, and that is where you enter in your bank information for them to start paying you. So just start posting videos, and eventually you will see a little money symbol come up next to your videos, and that means that you now have the option to start monetizing your videos and making money from them. And from there, keep on posting and see what happens. All right, well, this turned into a long video answering all those questions, but hopefully that was helpful. Stay tuned for my next adventure. Super excited for it. Taking off tomorrow, catching a flight on Election Day, Tuesday, November 8th, and then the new content will be coming after that. All right, see you. Happy trails.